To Be an Adventurer. Authored by Gail O'Vaughn. Narrated by Gail O'Vaughn. Chapter 9. Semo Oakado. Rota turned around to see just the person he was looking for. Semo was just the same as the last time Rota had seen him. He had big, round glasses that seemed to leap off of his face. The prescription was so high that it made his eyes take up half of his face. None of this was helped by his stupid middle part that showed too much of his forehead. Surely he hasn't gotten a girlfriend in the last 18 months, Rota thought. Semo tried to say something, but Rota couldn't hear a thing. His senses were overwhelmed by the busyness of the store. Semo could tell this and took Rota by the hand, leading him to a room where they could properly talk. Semo closes the door behind them. It was silent. This must be a workers' break room, Rota thought. Don't you have work to do? He asked Semo. Please, I practically run this place, Semo announces. I'm the head runic designer here. Haven't you heard? I even have my own family name now. I'm now Semo Makor. This was news to Rota. While most people in the noble realm have an inherited family name, it takes someone of actual importance to be given their own name by the people. Wait, you're the famous runic writer that is revolutionary. No, I wouldn't say that, but... Semo then gave Rota a look. His eyes flooded with life. His grin filled the rest of his face that was not being taken up by his glasses. Rota knew what he had brought to life. Semo's overwhelming love for runic. I guess you could say I've had a couple of contributions to the world of runic. Semo zoomed around the room, grabbing a box and slamming it onto the table in front of Rota. Semo flings open the box, almost tearing the seams in his excitement. He takes out a match with runic etched into the surface of the stick. He then lays a piece of paper with runic written on it on top of the match. The runic on the paper was glowing, but just certain parts, like an alternating pattern. This is a piece of paper that can store mana to be used later. Semo begins his rant. Usually, since mana is not considered a physical thing, I disagree. Trying to apply it to a standard piece of paper wouldn't do anything, and the mana would just disappear, probably being dissolved into the air. But this is a runic sequence that allows the mana applied to it to stay within it for long periods of time, by moving the mana around continuously. The mana is forced to leave the piece of paper once the mana can no longer be moved around. Like this. Semo pulls out a pencil and crosses out one of the runes on the piece of paper. All of the runes start to glow simultaneously. Then they all go out. All of the mana in the paper moves to the match, activating its runes and igniting it. Semo reaches into the box again. With that piece of paper, even people without mana can use runic. Rota picks up the match that Semo forgot to put out. He shakes the flame out of it. How has he not burnt this building down? Semo pulls out a rapier with 3 pieces of paper on different parts of the hilt. It was the same paper from the previous demonstration. This is a rapier with 3 different kinds of runic on it. For someone with mana, it would allow them to change the element being emitted by just changing where they are holding the blade. Semo rips the top piece of paper off of the hilt. Mana moves into the rapier, emitting a small flame for a split second. Then the next piece of paper rips, emitting a small bolt of lightning from the rapier. The last one emits a gust of wind. Once Semo is done with the rapier, he stabs it into the floor and reaches into the box once more. Rota pulls the rapier out of the floor and grabs Semo's hand. All of this is lovely, but I'm actually here for business. Semo puts his things back into the box and turns towards Rota. What would bring you to a place like this, especially without an elixir? Rota knew what Semo was referencing. He had never been good in crowded areas. Any time the academy would have any kind of assembly, Semo would have one of his friends brew up a nausea elixir. Sometimes, Rota would need 2 or 3 if the assembly got particularly lengthy. Rota was about to tell him. Then Semo throws out his guess. Let me guess, you're an errand boy and the Purple Roses are finally gonna buy from here. No, I'm not a member of the Purple Roses, Rota mumbles. Why not? I thought you were going to join once you became 16. Though that was a year and a half ago. How's Momo? My dad's dead. Silence falls on Semo and Rota. Semo's eyes widen, and his face pushes his glasses up slightly. Serious? It was 6 days ago. He didn't return to Purple City. Momo? Semo mumbles as tears start to form in his eyes. He blinks, trying to force them back into his head. He doesn't want Rota to see him cry. Rota notices anyways. The fog clouding his glasses gives it away. I came here because the last thing he gave me was a book of runic. I was hoping there was some way of powering it. Immediately, as Semo hears that there is a way for him to help Rota, he stops crying. Semo takes his glasses off and cleans them with his shirt. Okay, hand it over. Semo held out his hand. Rota took out the book and handed it to Semo. Seeing how quickly Semo went from crying to helpful warmed Rota's soul. Semo reminded him a lot of Motoka. Until the day that he opened that book, Rota had never seen his father cry. Semo's the kind of person to always look on the bright side. With both Semo and Motaka, there was never a bad moment to joke around. Just as Semo set the book on the table, someone opened the door to the break room. A large man, with an even larger mustache, walks in. "Semo, I've been looking for you." The man notices Rota. "Who's this?" "A friend from back home," Semo replies, not even looking up from the book. "Oh, didn't mean to intrude. Just wanted to make sure you didn't skip town on me. Take as much time as you need. You can just keep sitting there as long as you keep making me money. Can you send Mimi in here, please?" "Sure. Be right back." The man leaves. "Who was that?" Rota asks. "Just the owner." Semo really does run this place, if he's not even scared of the owner, Rota thinks to himself. "And who's Mimi?" Semo looks at Rota and grins. "Someone very important. You'll see." Shortly later, the door opens, and a young girl enters the room.